Alhaji Turay, again from Sierra Leone, the Directorate of Geological Surveys, NMA. And I am one of the regional geologists of the National Minerals Agency. My task this morning is to make a presentation on the challenges of the ASM sector in Sierra Leone and the role of the Geological Surveys and the Mines Division. I actually want to take you through my content. I intend my presentation to follow this path. Firstly, I would like to define ACM as stated in our Mines and Mineral Act, the artisanal mining and small-scale mining, so that people can understand what we call artisanal mining and small-scale mining. Also, I will give a brief overview of the ACM sector in Sierra Leone. Then next to it, I will go into the procedures of acquiring small-scale mining licenses and artisanal mining licenses. We'll also look briefly into the laws, that's the legal framework for the mining sector, the laws that manage not only the small-scale, the ASM sector, but the entire mining sector. We'll also look into the institutional framework, the institutional framework, the department, the agencies that are responsible for managing the mineral sector, then the role of the Geological Surveys and the Mines Directorate, then the challenges for the ACM sector in Sierra Leone. Now, firstly, just to bring us on the same page, as defined by the Mines and Mineral Act of 2009, we define artisanal mining as a mining that is restricted to Sierra Leoneans, meaning it's 100% Sierra Leoneans. And it's a mining with no heavy equipment. It's labor intensive, 100% Sierra Leonean, and you use without heavy equipment. So meaning if you use heavy equipment in an artisanal mining site, it's prohibited in our Sierra Leone laws. Also, the verification, the certification and approval of artisanal mining is done within the regional level. So meaning the administration, the process of administering artisanal mining licenses is within the regional level. The regional officers are doing that. Also, for artisanal mining licenses, we are only asking our clients for environmental management plan. So in terms of environment, the only requirement is the environmental management plan. Now the size of our artisanal mining licenses is mostly 1 acre. The size is 1 hectare, and that is 0.05 square kilometer. The depth for artisanal mining is 10 meters maximum. So meaning if you have an artisanal mining licenses, you are only allowed to mine at 10 meters. You can't go beyond 10 meters. Now the license period is mostly 1 year. We give the license for 1 year, and it's renewable for 3 years. We can renew that. It's a totally different case when it comes to small-scale mining. Now, small-scale mining, we have both Sierra Leoneans and foreigners. But in terms of ownership percentage, we should have 25% Sierra Leoneans to own a small-scale mining company. In a small-scale mining site, we allow heavy machineries. You can use whatever heavy machineries you also want to use. And also, for small-scale mining licenses, the application process is done at head office. The application process has to go through the Mineral Advisory Board. We have a Mineral Advisory Board that is seated at Freetown, that they actually certify the application and they make recommendation to the minister, and the minister has to sign the application. So it's a different process altogether. And for the small-scale mining also, we need a proper environmental impact assessment license. So meaning you have to, before you have the environmental impact assessment license, you have to do an EIA studies. And also the maximum size for the small-scale mining is maximum 1 100 hectares, which is 1 square kilometer. The depth is maximum 20 meters. Meaning for a small-scale mining site, you can mine to a depth of 20 meters. And the application duration is 3 years, and that is also renewable. Now, those pictures shows typical artisanal mining sites. The goal of presenting this picture is for you to see that it's entirely Sierra Leonean thing. I mean, the locals are using their hands to do artisanal mining, and with no heavy equipment. They are using, it's entirely 100% labor intensive. Now, it's a different case altogether when it comes to small-scale mining. In a small-scale mining site, we encourage foreigners to be there. The foreigners can be there. It's okay also to see heavy machineries and a small-scale mining site, right? And this is a typical small-scale mining site. Now, this map is a distribution of the artisanal mining licenses that we have in Sierra Leone, active licenses, and the essence of presenting this map is for you to see the mineral distribution that we have in artisanal mining licenses. These are the minerals that we mine. We have coltan, diamonds, gold, zircon. They are mostly mined artisanally. Now, if you look at the map, you see that there is a whole lot of concentration of artisanal mining licenses towards the east, and from central parts of the map, then to the north, right? So the artisanal mining in Sierra Leone is actually concentrated towards the east, and then move central towards the north. Now, this map is not different from too different from the first map. The only input there is the small-scale mining licenses that we have. Presently, we have about 6 active small-scale mining licenses, and these 6 licenses, you can also see that the distribution is also evenly. They start from the east and they goes up to north. Now, the 6 licenses is only one which is Dojo Mining, Dojo Resources, that is presently on production. The others, they are at some initial stage in the small-scale mining process. And also the reason why you see the background plots the artisanal mining and small-scale mining licenses on top of industrial licenses, because we have a lot of challenges when it comes to boundary and overlaps and things. So that you can see that most of the artisanal mining licenses are actually plotting on industrial mining licenses. Now, artisanal mining and small-scale mining forms a significant part of the rural economy and indeed the national economy of Sierra Leone. It is practiced throughout the country, but is concentrated in the eastern and central, where the geological conditions are favorable. Now, if you look at this map again, the east part of in Sierra Leone, you see we have more of diamond plotting, meaning the artisanal diamond licenses are more towards the east. The simple reason being that the geology is more favorable on that side. We have most of all our kimberlite pipes and dikes in the east part of Sierra Leone. So we have lots of alluvial working going on that side. It's a total different case for the north and central part. The north and central part, we have the greenstone belts. We have 1 or 2 greenstone belts on the central and northern parts of Sierra Leone. So you have lots of gold and gold mining and coltan mining on that side. The industry is particularly significant because it provides employment for an estimated 300,000 people, including men, women, and youth, in circumstances where there are few other opportunities to earn cash and support local livelihood. In some areas, especially in the north of Sierra Leone, it serves as an alternative source of livelihood. We have situations in the artisanal mining areas wherein people go there as an alternative source of livelihood. For example, we can have a teacher who can teach during school, the school calendar. When the school closes, it goes down to the pit. I mean, it's an alternative source of livelihood. Also, during the dry season, like some areas in the north, the people, they are not full-time miners. They mine during the dry season, and during the rains, they go down to the pit to farm. They go down to the swamp to farm. So it's like a kind of seasonal thing. They use it as a source of livelihood. It's a total different case when you go to the east. The east, the diamond miners, they mine throughout the year. They prefer trapping out the gravel and during the dries, then in the rains, they use that time to wash all the gravel. Now, at the same time, artisanal mining and small-scale mining operation poses many environmental and social problems. Of course, we know about that, the environmental degradation, pollution, destruction of vegetation and other land uses, and issues of child labor. We have, with all the positive things of the artisanal mining sector, we also have environmental issues that we need to be aware of. Now, it's a difficult activity to control and monitor, and a significant part of the proceeds goes uncounted for in terms of royalties and taxation. Of course, we all know it's very, very difficult to monitor. Now, considering the amount of artisans in the field, they also consider the amount of staff we have to monitor artisanal mining. Some of them will be in the bush, and it's hard for you to discover them, right? But still, we are making progress. Now, 4 regional and 3 sub-regional offices established are charged with the responsibility to provide managerial oversight in the sector. So meaning our artisanal mining sector is actually managed by the regional offices. We are actually responsible for the entire management of the artisanal mining licenses. Now, an average total of artisanal mining licenses generated per year is 1,000 licenses, meaning this value actually took from statistics for the past 4 years. When you look at our statistics for the past 4 years, we've been having an average of 1,000 artisanal mining licenses every year. Now, illicit mining in Sierra Leone, illicit mining, as far as the artisans are concerned, is actually on a decrease. The reason for this is because, I mean, it was very, very high before, but since the enemy took over the implementation of the sector, there's been a lot of improvements. In fact, the enemy instituted all the regional offices to monitor. So meaning monitoring is more effective now with enemy, right? And also we have this scheme called the Diamond Area Community Development Fund, DACDF. This is a scheme that was initiated after the war. The idea was to refurbish the life of the people after the war. But it is now widely used, and when you look at the DACDF, it's helped also to eradicate illegal mining. This scheme is like giving a 0.07%, 0.075% of the total revenue collected from mineral export to the community back, right? We are tasking artisans 3% revenue, 3% tax from exporting of minerals. Now the entire 3% we collect at the end of the year, and we just subtract 0.07 or 0.075, and we give back to the community as a Diamond Area Community Development Fund. So because of this, the community are actually engaged in getting legal licenses, because the idea is the more licenses you have, the more money you will get, right? And this idea is, presently there is artisanal mining policy that is going on, and they are planning to see how the gold areas can also benefit, the gold and coltan areas. Our next presentation is how we acquire artisanal mining licenses. Firstly, the application requirement. For you to have an artisanal mining license in Sierra Leone, you need to put these documents together. A signed surface rent agreement, a surface rent receipt, a field environmental management plan form, we call C13, and a survey map. Basically, the signed surface rent agreement is a form that you have to take to the community people, and you have an agreement with them that you want to mine on this area, and the paramount chief will sign that he's aware that you want to mine, and it will give you a kind of surface rent receipt. You have to pay a kind of rent to the local people. You pay pay this amount, and they will give you a surface rent receipt. So you take this receipt to the office, you fill the environmental management plan and the survey map all to the office. We use all those documents to process the application. So basically the procedure is like this. The applicants identify the proposed mining location with the Chiefdom Demarcation Committee members, liaise with mines warden to survey, demarcate and plot sketch map on the application form, assigned chiefdom authorities sign the surface rent agreement, which is C12, and issue surface rent receipt to applicant. The applicant lodged completed application form to regional cadastral clerk, who receives and attach the checklist to the completed application form and forward to the area superintendent. So basically the cadastral clerk and the area superintendent are responsible for putting the information together to actually see that the documents are all in place before the area superintendent can forward this document to the regional geologist. Now the responsibility of the regional geologist is to maybe verify the coordinates for possible overlaps. Now it's possible for we to have overlaps, artisanal mining and artisanal mining license overlapping, right? It's possible for someone to have taken an artisanal mining license, then maybe the person is inactive, then somebody come again to take the same license, so we have to check. And it's also possible for artisanal mining licenses to overlap on industrial licenses. Now sometimes when they overlap on industrial licenses, there's not much of a problem if the industrial license owner is not actually concentrated in that particular area. But when having situations wherein there is the kind of conflict of interest, maybe the area that the industrial mining license want to do some work, the artisan want to go there. So we have this kind of situation. So we, as the regional geologists, we confirm the coordinates and we see if they are okay. Now we forward all the coordinates to the engineers. They check for the environmental management plan and see that all the the management plan is filled up and it's okay before the regional manager approves. So the whole process is like concentrated within the regional office. We are doing the thing. We issue the license. We check the documents. We check the attached documents. We also check the coordinates and we approve the license and give to the client. Now when it comes to small-scale mining licenses, it's a different game altogether. For small-scale mining licenses, you have to fill up the application form. The owner of the license must have a business registration certificate, and there should be a copy of the mines manager's qualification, and there should be a map, a survey map of the area you want to mine, and there should be enough evidence of technical and financial resources should be available. And there is also supposed to be a technical report summarizing the geology and mineralization should be sufficient. This area also the geologists are helping the small-scale miners because it's based on this report that we will issue the small-scale mining license. You have to give us a technical report that will show sufficient geology and mineralization of the area you want to mine. And mostly for them to do this one, they will have to go through the geology department, have a geologist to actually help them to do this. and there should be evidence of consent from the Chief Mining Committee by the surface rent. We use the surface rent as evidence, and the environmental impact assessment licenses is also a requirement. So before you start a small-scale mining licenses application in our office, you first of all must have got your EIA license. So you apply for the EIA license first, and it's going to be part of the attachment. And a community development agreement form is also going to be signed. The last part is the proposed work program for the operation. You have to tell us how you intend to do the work, right? The work program can include the mining and treatment methods, the EIA and environmental management plan, the proposed mineral sales, how you want to sell the minerals you are going to have, and what are your plans for Sierra Leoneans? How do you intend to employ Sierra Leoneans? Which positions are they going to have? And also a financial plan for the project. As I said earlier, the entire process with regards acquiring ASM licenses has to do with the central office. It's first of all it's going to the cadastral office for registering, and also there is also a GPS verification process there. The manager mining licenses cadastral is doing that, and before they forward the license to the mineral advisory board. So NMA forwards the licenses to the mineral advisory board, that they'll take the decision whether to issue the license or not. Now the mineral advisory board is a board that is constituted with mining stakeholders. We have the mines director in that board. We have the director of Geological Surveys there. We also have a representative from EPA. We have a representative from the Paramount Chiefs. We also have security people, the ONS, in the Mineral Advisory Board. And it is chaired by mostly an ex-director of mines or director of Geological Surveys. So it's an old team, and when they make the decision, they make a recommendation to the minister. It's based on their recommendation that the minister has the right to approve or decline. When the minister approves the application, then we ask the client to do his financial commitment, and we issue out the license. So with regards small-scale mining, it's entirely done central level. Now Sierra Leone in the past years have undergone lots of reforms when it comes to the mineral sector. And one of these reforms is the change from the Mines and Mineral Act of 1994 to that of the Mines and Mineral Act of 2012. Now the Mines of Mineral Act of 2012 is like the handbook for the mining sector in Sierra Leone, right? It establishes or govern mineral rights, and both industrial and artisanal, meaning it's not only looking at the artisanal mining sector or the small-scale mining sector, it's also looking at the industrial licenses also. Now in the Mines and Mineral Act, there are some things that we need to note that are different from the initial act, the Mines and Mineral Act of 1994. In the Mines and Mineral Act, we are running the industry in a first-come, first-served basis. So meaning when you put your application first, no other person will apply for that particular area until we either accept or decline the application, right? Now in the Mines and Mineral Act also, the minister has the power, is given enough power to cancel an existing license if the person is not compliant when it comes to operational issues and financial issues. And also in the Mines and Mineral Act, we instituted or we introduced this concept of community development agreement. So for small-scale mining operations, you have to have a constructive community development agreement with the people. Tell the people what you intend to do for them, and that document is also attached in the application. Now, if you look at the next, like the National Minerals Agency Act of 2012, this act was instituted in April 2012, and it is an act that gives the National Minerals Agency the power, the authority to manage or to administer the Mines and Mineral Act. So It gives the National Minerals Agency the authority to monitor and implement the Mines and Mineral Act. Basically, what we are doing in the National Minerals Agency is to make sure that what is in the Mines and Mineral Act is followed strictly, right? So that's the work of the National Minerals Agency, and there is an act to that effect. And within the Mines and Mineral Act of 2009, we've developed lots of regulations. These regulations, they are not new. It's just that in the regulations we spell out clearly some of the issues, like mining operational regulations. In the mining operational regulations, they made it clear that there as to how we are doing our surface mining, open pit mining, and underground mining, and also we're in conformity with international best practice, and the environmental social regulation. Of course, the environmental social regulation stresses on the environmental commitment of the company. It's basically using new mining techniques and machinery, new environmental and social risks, comply with international standards. Of course, the balance benefit there is for the mineral rights holders and with benefits for the people of Sierra Leone. So there's a kind of balance benefit there. We have the precious mineral trading bill. The precious mineral trading bill is the bill put forward to manage mineral trading. It's under this bill that we have the Kimberley process. I mean, the Kimberley process is Sierra Leone is part of that scheme, and it's a scheme used to monitor and rough diamonds, the legality of rough diamonds. At least it increases the security of buyers. And you know that when you're buying a diamond, you know the source where it's coming from. Now the institutional framework. Now if you look at the institutional framework, you see that we have the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources, which is the parent ministry for the mining sector. But the minister we have the minister there as the political head of that ministry. He actually receives his order from the president, and the orders are actually in line with the president's agenda for prosperity. So they will set the agenda, and the minister will have the power to appoint people to sit on the mineral advisory board. So the minister is doing that. In terms of policy, the ministry is responsible for formulating policies. They are the ones formulating the policies, and they give the policies to NME. So NME they are implementing the policy. So NME is the implementing arm of the ministry. The NME, as an agency, it has its own board and it has its own staff, right? But in between the National Minerals Agency and the Mines Ministry, we have the Mineral Advisory Board in the middle. So basically, they are not staff of the Mines Ministry, they are not staff of the NME, they are just in the middle giving technical advice to the minister. Now this is the NME structure. We have the Director General Office, which is the head of administration, and we have 3 technical departments or technical directorates: the Mines Directorate, the Geological Surveys Directorate, Precious Minerals and Trading, and there is one new, which is Communication and Community Affairs. This one is very new. They just add this one to the directorate 1 or 2 years back, right? But this one, the first 3 are more technical. But since 2012, after they enact the NME Act, they give the responsibility, the implementing responsibility, to the National Minerals Agency. So basically, they are left with strategy formulating, policy, law, regulations, investment promotion, community development, licenses, revenue forecasting. We say licenses because when it comes to small-scale mining licenses and industrial, they are the ones signing. The minister has to sign. So after the NME completes all the license processes, they have to take it to the minister to sign. So they are also having a hand in the licensing process. For the NMA, they are only doing monitoring, compliance, regulating, valuation, surveying, licensing processing, and community relations. Now this is just to show the other agencies, the other institutions that are making our work successful, that support the work. Of course, the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources, which is our parent body. We have the Mineral Advisory Board, which is the board that constitutes all mining stakeholders. And we have the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. The EPA, they are charged with the responsibility to manage the environment. So when it comes to mining activities, we first of all ask our client to have EPA license. So they have to go first to EPA and they get their EPA license, the EIA license, before we issue out our licenses. We also have the National Revenue Authority and Ministry of Finance. The National Revenue Authority is working under the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance is the parent body. But they are also charged with the responsibility of collecting revenue. So revenue from the mining sector, they are all going through the National Revenue Authority. The role of the Geological Surveys and the Mines Directorate. And the Directorate is the Geological Surveys Directorate is mainly responsible for collection, storage, and management of countries' geoscience information, which improve understanding of Sierra Leone mineral potential. So basically, that's the main responsibility of the Geological Surveys. We collect, store, and manage all geoscience information. The Directorate of Geological Survey is also responsible for facilitating and monitoring of exploration activities in the country, ensuring that reconnaissance and exploration companies conduct their activity in a responsible manner and in compliance with the country's mining law. Now basically, before this time, before the NMA, we used to have the Mines Directorate also monitoring exploration companies. And when they formed the NMA, they realized, you can't monitor an exploration company when you don't even know much of the geology. So it's now the task of the geological department to monitor exploration companies. So basically, what we use to monitor exploration companies is their work plan. When you applied for an exploration license, you have a constructive work plan, a geological plan that you are going to do this, and this. And the Director of Geological Surveys will assess that plan. And it is also part of the Mineral Advisory Board, and it will make recommendations geologically to the people. So based on that, so they are basically in charge of monitoring the exploration companies. They assess the technical content of work programs, ensure the technical reports submitted by license holders meet the required standard, and to provide feedback, recommendation to the Director of Licenses and Monitoring Compliance. Now, in terms of ACM, the Directorate provides geoscience information and technical guidance to the ACM operators who oftentimes operate blindly without any geoscience data. So we are doing that for the small-scale mining licenses. They advise the small-scale mining license people to
5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Now the Directorate of Mines is basically, their basic responsibility is to administer mineral rights and monitor mining operations. That's the basic. So basically, in terms of the responsibility, they actually have the responsibility when it comes to ACM. The responsibility of managing the ACM sector is in their hands because they manage mineral rights and monitoring of mining operations. And they also make sure that the mining law, which is the Mines and Mineral Act, is followed strictly. Now, in terms of the challenges, we have lots of challenges when it comes to the ACM sector in Sierra Leone. Of course, we have blind mining, oftentimes mining without geoscience knowledge, leading to indiscriminate mining and environmental degradation. We have artisanal interface with exploration companies, which I mentioned earlier. We have artisanal miners illegally graduate themselves from labor-intensive to semi-mechanized by using heavy-duty machines. We have artisanal miners leave mine-out area degraded with no regard for environment. So they just mine and leave the area. We have small-scale mines fizzle out partly due to the alarming high EIA fees. Now the EIA charge for small-scale mining is very, very high. So that is why you see from the map we only have small-scale mining licenses. Exploration companies find it difficult to graduate into small-scale mining because of the bureaucratic process involved in the insurance of EIA. Now, exploration companies occupy mining lease area with no work. We have lots of exploration companies that are not active. They are just there without doing any work. The deep nature of the current deposits cannot be therefore efficiently and timely exploited using these basic techniques, including shovels. So this 10-meter law is becoming a kind of a challenge now, because we can't, most of the surface deposits are all gone, so the artisans are tempted to use heavy equipment. No organized system for artisanal miners to reclaim degraded land. Production figures traceably for artisanal miners are still difficult to collect. Of course, it's very, very difficult to collect production figures. Now with trading, the challenges within the trading. No streamlined linear procedure to deal with conflict minerals, especially diamond. There is no procedure that is spelled out in the act to deal with theft diamond. Dealers still refuse to book mineral purchase because we actually monitor the dealings when they sell and when they buy, so some of them refuse deliberately to do it. Delay in sending monthly reports for sales of precious minerals, and some of them are not giving us the reports when they sell their precious minerals. Now there is licensed dealers illegally record conflict diamonds. We have some situation wherein people will just buy diamond from an illegal site and they record it. They will record it in a book. And we have a very important one, the porous borders and attractive tax regime in neighboring countries provide incentive for smuggling. Now, there is this difference in tax collection when it comes to minerals in Sierra Leone. We are taxing people mineral exports 3%. In Guinea, you are having something less. So people prefer to take the minerals to Guinea and do their trading. Now, despite these numerous challenges that we have in the sector, the ACM sector in Sierra Leone is not only a source of revenue for rural and national economies, but also a vital source for employment for the rural population and the bulk of Sierra Leone. In 2006, revenue from artisanal mining licenses amounted to 1.5 billion leones, which is approximately $200,000. An average total of AML generated per year is 1,000, which I said before. Now, there is a new prospect of artisanal mining policy, a policy that would take into consideration the artisanal mining sector alone and see how it will benefit the people of Sierra Leone, improve lots of other things, including the environmental issues. We'll see how we manage the environmental issues. Now, basically, just to run through this, if you look, this is just to support the benefits of ASM. If you look at this, just look at the figures, you see that corridor links for diamond, this is for diamond. Corridor links is giving out 50% of its production, and the rest are artisans and small scale. So meaning the industrial and the ASM are in line in terms of mineral production for diamonds. That is the same for gold. If you look at gold exports, you see that almost all the exporters are having their minerals from artisans and small-scale mining operation. So which is a very good indication that the industry, the sector, we need to keep the sector alive, and the only thing we need to improve on how we manage the environment and other things so that we can increase these values. Thank you very much.